question? Alexis is Liza Minnelli.
Speaking of Alexis Michelle,
do you want to fuck Alexis Michelle?
I do. If you're watching, like, reach out.
Come to the Kiki and we'll make it a
Come to
GAGA.
the Kiki, Alexis Michelle. There is no more signature challenge on RuPaul's Drag Race than the Snatch game. Introduced in season 2 and played in almost every single season since, the match game parody challenges contestants to impersonate a celebrity with accuracy and panache. But most importantly of all, they have to make it funny.
In this episode of The Kiki, hosts Kevin O'Keefe and Matthew Rodriguez share the ingredients you need to make a great Snatch game impression, and why so often the recipe goes south.
I had a rough childhood, okay? I wasn't watching Batman and Robin.
Hi everyone, welcome to the Kiki, where the library is always open. I'm Matthew Rodriguez.
And I'm Kevin O'Keefe.
So what are we gonna talk about today, Kevin?
Snatch game!
Snatch game!
Snatch game. Everyone's
wow.
It is simultaneously Drag Race's signature challenge and probably the challenge that needs to be most put out to pasture.
So what, in your opinion, makes a good Snatch game impression?
So the whole thing was designed as a parody of Match Game, right? The
Right.
iconic 60s show and more recently revived with Alec Baldwin as host and less iconic show. The initial parody idea was basically, all right, let's take Match Game and make it not about answering the questions correctly at all and more about celebrity impersonation. We can look at three things. We can look at accuracy, both
Right.
in appearance and voice, humor. So RuPaul always says, how are you gonna make it funny?
Right, you have to make her laugh.
And what I always call the idea of the character. How are you taking this away from just being a basic impression of this person, and what are you actually doing to sort of like put your own spin on it?
You have to be able to go off the cuff as that person and say what they would say. When it comes to Pandora Box, like some of her answers resembled things that Carol Channing might actually answer.
Raspberries.
Raspberries. Or with Britney Spears, Tatiana and Derek both played her kind of as an airhead. They were able to be Britney, but an exaggerated version that still felt true to who she was.
Yes, and so you get a lot of impressions, I think, that hit one of those three categories, or even two of those three categories,
Right.
but fall apart on one of them. One that I think about it a lot is season 5, Alaska's Lady Bunny. Was very funny, like, well, Rue, I just wrote anus is one of the all-time great
Truly.
Snatch Game jokes.
But
Sunken
Michelle
eyes.
called her out for the voice being raspy when Lady Bunny's up. She says Lady Bunny's up here.
It's a complete mess of a voice. And I think, you know, she was going up against a brick wall that is Jinx Monsoon's
Right.
Little Edie, which is probably up there with Chad Michaels' Cher from season 4 as the greatest Snatch Game impression of all time.
Alyssa Edwards' Katy Perry is a good case for what makes a bad Snatch game.
Right.
Because infamously, her Katy Perry is what did away with immunity on RuPaul's Drag Race.
Yes, because she was immune from the Black Swan challenge
Right.
the week before, and Rue was so mad that she couldn't put her in the bottom for it.
Truly.
And we've never had immunity on Drag Race since.
She didn't change her voice at all. And then you don't have her riffing on anything.
In fact, missing major ones.
Right, like kissing a girl and stuff like that.
Compared to somebody like Kennedy Davenport from season 7, she came in with Little Richard, the first time a male celebrity had ever been impersonated on Drag Race. With such a great idea of the character, was so funny, took every riff, knew every catchphrase, and just completely nailed it dead. It's more than just being a funny person, it's about being able to imbue the particular celebrity you're impersonating with humor and with the kind of sort of like quick line deliveries that Rue loves.
And then the opposite of that is kind of like someone like Trixie Mattel, who is super funny, usually off the cuff, but then kind of failed so spectacularly at a challenge that seemed set up for her to win.
Right, everybody
as
thought she
someone
was
who's
gonna
like
kill
an improv queen.
Yeah.
I think it was because she didn't have a great concept of RuPaul past caricature. So, I mean, what makes this challenge one that Rue decides to bring back every season? Celebrity impersonation is not something that every drag queen needs to be great at.
Absolutely not.
It's not something that I go to the bar waiting to see.
It tests a lot of skills at the same time. It tests, can you put on a look that is not your signature one? It also tests, can you be funny on a dime?
And I think that that is, to me, the most important thing to take away from Snatch Game, because when you go see a queen in person and they're hosting a night at a bar, that witty banter is what gets you your tips. Like if someone shouts something out from the crowd, you being able to respond to it, right? Like that's what we're here to see.
So let's do a speed round. Let's just scale of 1 to 10. Jessica Wilde's RuPaul. 10.
7.
I know it's bad, but it's iconic.
It's iconic. Raja's Tyra Banks.
3.
Oh, I'd give it like a 7.
I think it has an interesting idea of the character, but I thought the actual look and voice were too far off. Fifi O'Hara's Lady Gaga.
2?
2 is a good, yeah, I would say.
Liked her yellow hair though. Alyssa Edwards, Katy Perry.
0.
0.
It just,
on a scale of 1 to 10, it's a 0.
There's literally nothing to recommend it. Bianca Del Rio's Judge Judy.
I'm gonna give it an 8.
I wouldn't rank it that low. I would say it's probably a 6 or a 7, but I do think it's massively overrated by the fan base.
Violet Chachki's Alyssa Edwards.
8, I think.
I'm gonna give it a 6.
Okay.
I'm not as into it as other people are. I don't like queens doing other queens.
Gigi Devane's Eartha Kitt.
I'm gonna give Gigi Devane's Eartha Kitt a 6.
I would give it a 9. I really as far as like idea of the character, I thought the idea of presenting her as like actually think she's a cat is incredible.
Okay, Katya's Bjork.
10.
10.
Absolutely. I actually think it's better than Alaska's Mae West. Okay, so the wrongly crowned Miss Universe Ariana Gutierrez, my celebrity Big Brother favorite, as played by Valentina.
I'm actually gonna give Valentina an 8 for that.
I would probably say 8 or 9. I thought that was a really great idea.
What about Aja's Crystal LaBeija from All Stars 3?
Zillion points for most improved. On an actual scale, I would say probably an 8.
Yeah, I'd also say an 8. I still think about her saying, no, when she's like, are you having a good time? She's like, I'm having the worst time of my life, darling.
Vixen's Blue Ivy Carter.
Well, to me, the Vixen's Blue Ivy Carter is not Katy Perry, so I won't say 0, but I would give it like a 2.
1 for me.
What's your recommendation for queens who are coming onto the show and are gonna do Snatch Game?
First, queens themselves, I would say, keep in mind those 3 principles of accuracy, of humor, and of idea of character. Like, make sure you're not just preparing the look, you're not just preparing the voice, you don't just have a few good jokes, you're coming in with a whole, fully fledged concept. For the show itself, you know, to fix Snatch Game, I would even maybe like take the game a little bit more seriously. You know, it would be fun to see the queen who actually does the best at the game actually like get immunity for the challenge. Add some element to it that's taking it beyond just sort of like, we're all just sitting in a room riffing, which is kind of what it's become.
One thing I think is that Snatch Game actually requires knowing yourself a little bit, and that's why I think Aquaria was successful this season, and I think she's a good blueprint for going forward because Aquaria knew that she had a problem with words, and so she chose someone who likewise, because English is a second language, Melania, but like chose someone who also had trouble putting her words together, and was like, I'm gonna take this thing about myself and turn it into a good impression. I think that the girls could learn something from the people who have won, especially from Aquaria. Aquaria is someone who's a student of Drag Race, and it's why she won Drag Race. That was a great conversation about the Snatch Game.
Yes, I feel like we really snatched up some good ideas.
I'm quitting the series. No longer.
This will be Matthew's last episode of the Kiki. Please like and subscribe if you want more great Into content, including Kiki content, and we'll see you next time.
Bye.
Bye!